Sitting on the porch, looking mighty sore. Gary's playing AI tunes, he's had enough for sure. He says it's high time we get this podcast on the road. These robot songs ain't got no soul, they got me feeling cold. He longs for the days of fiddles and steel guitar. Hank and Earl on the radio, that's his guiding star. Gary put them AI tracks away, he sternly makes his plea. Let's talk about heart and troubles like a podcast is supposed to be. Oh, Gary, can't you see these AI songs ain't right? Takes a heart and soul to play the music of the night. Let's share the tales of life in a small town kind of way. Stop this technology nonsense and podcast will relate. Jesse recalls the fun dances, warm southern nights where the music told the stories round campfire lights. He scoffs at all the algorithms, they don't know the pain. The joy and sorrow in a tune, they can't even explain. Gary's got that smug grin, thinking it's just a phase, but Jesse shakes his head, he won't be swayed no ways. Give me strings and voices real as the morning dew. Not these digital imposters that never can be true. Oh, Gary, can't you see these AI songs ain't right?
So that was his comment, not mine. Only version of country music is AI country music.
That yeah, I knew Tony hated country, so I threw that in there. But I don't know. I kind of like this better. Maybe go with this one better. All right.
I disagree with the country comment. I like country, but yeah, that was truly an AI song about how crappy AI songs are. So I kind of got to give it credit for that one.
Yeah, it's an AI song about how Jesse hates AI songs. So it's sort of
Have you seen the things where they're like, I don't know, there's social media stuff, but they'll show a video, but then it's like the terrible AI voice narrating it.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh my God, just stop.
There's some folks they've got like, and I've seen commercials on YouTube where they're like, hey, you can do a YouTube channel and not be on your YouTube channel. You just make an AI channel. And it's like,
yeah, I don't really know where all this is going, but I know even in my job in education, AI is being pushed in our throat too. Yeah. So, it's just like, not to like totally derail us, right? But we're talking about the future anyway, like imaginary stuff tonight. So
yes, we are.
You read AI stuff, and if you're a nerd, like many of us are, right? There's robots at the same time. And like, you have seen Terminator, guys. Like, this is not going to end well. It's going to ruin everything. And just like everything, like it starts off good, and then people find a way to do something bad with it, and that's exactly what's going to happen here.
Yeah, probably so.
We still really we've been skirting around it, but we still really don't know where AI is going to overlap in geocaching, but we know it is.
Yeah, and it's kind of that's if everybody knows what Jen's referring to.
Yeah, I mean, if not, this is why you watch sci-fi, to know what's happening right now.
What's funny is I didn't think about it till it came up, but that was the date was just a few days ago, August of 2024. You're like, oh my, yeah. Well,
it's already out there. They're just watching. It's just watching and laughing at us right now.
Right, exactly. Well, and the crazy thing I started to show you earlier, I was showing something to Jesse earlier, but I closed a bunch of apps, so hopefully that'll help me not be lagging on the podcast. But working on some things for Podcast Hope. So in fact, let's just keep things rolling. So that was part of the news. So let's do a little bit of news. So I did want to point out again for people, because I get people ask once in a while, and I want to make sure everybody knows the date. Jesse needs to know the date too, because he's going to be on, so he needs to know this. So December 7th. This year we're doing it a little different. We're going to do, instead of eight hours, we're going to do 6 hours. We're going to try that. December 7th from 5 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central. Still makes Jesse really late at night, but it's for a good cause.
My calendar right now.
Good. Thank you, sir. December 7th, 6 p.m. to midnight on Eastern time, 5 p.m. to 11 Central, and adjust your clock accordingly. December 7th, we're going to do 6 straight hours instead of our normal 8. We're going to try that format and see what happens. But looking forward to it. We're already getting some great confirmations of some guests we're going to have. It's going to be another incredible night. But I was showing something to Jesse before. Well, tried to, but anyway. But we're working with doing a little bit of pulling stuff in video and other AI tools. At least currently they're tools, but they're not our overlords yet. But I did have it clone my voice to see what it would, see what would happen. And man, it is like spot on. Now, there are some things in place. So you have to say this special statement, Jesse, and I'll get you to say this special statement later tonight. And then I can put it all together and I can get your AI voice.
That sounds like a bad plan.
But anyway, you have to. So I guess the good part is you have to give it, permission for that or whatever, and then you can always delete it when you're done. But anyway, because then you have to do it all over again. But anyway, it was interesting. So yeah, we'll get into that here in a moment. I do want to take a moment and mention big thanks to our new patrons, Dramaniacs, Cash Sleuth, and Scurvy Dogs. I like that. It's a good GC name. And then I grabbed our Minnesota patrons, just grabbed a state to celebrate. And our Minnesota folks are Jane and Aaron and Robert, Michelle, Joy, and David. They're in the great state of Minnesota. So thanks to all our patrons. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I hadn't been there in a long time. I need to go again.
Yeah. Tom. Agreed.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that for him.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, look at that. Got his 49th state last week.
Good job for Tom. Yeah.
I'm suspecting that was Alaska, just like mine.
Yeah, he's way up in that. He was up there in the Great White North, way up in there. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're gonna get into. Thanks for being on board. Give us comments, feedback in the chat room if you're on there. If you're listening audio wise, we thank you so much. I talked to somebody, Jesse, the other day, and we've talked about this before, but they've never seen the podcast.
Yeah,
not once, and they're a patron.
There's a lot of people that have never seen the podcast.
Never seen the podcast, and they're patrons. They've been listening for years, and they just listen. They never watch, which is great. I mean, if we can provide, our edutainment through just the audio, that's great. And then we have others that probably have never listened to us before. They just watch the show, which is great too. So I like the fact that we have both available for everybody. So
But, people tend to prefer one format over the other. There's definitely certain podcasts that I listen to and ones that I watch. Actually, really, 99% of the podcasts that I consume are audio.
Right.
I don't ever, because I'm never really in front of a TV to sit and watch a whole podcast to do YouTube.
Yeah, I have some shows that I watch on YouTube.
Yeah, but podcasts?
They're not podcasts though.
Yeah, there's a few that I'll do that are that I'll watch on there. A lot of them are live. They're in other industries. They're not in this, but
yeah, me too.
Mostly I consume them after the fact, audio.
Right.
Now there's a couple where I do that are like live chat room, and I'll get on for that. But that's very rare. It's usually I listen to them driving in the car to work.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm the same way. I've got someday we'll get into our weird eclectic things that we watch or listen to.
Oh gosh. I don't know about that. That might run some people off.
Maybe, I don't know. I was watching the other day, and we'll get into tonight, but just real quick, I'll just say I was watching. I just did another painting the other day, and I was watching a guy who Baumgartner. He does art. He does painting restoration. I don't know why I'm interested in this, but he takes like a painting that's been completely destroyed, and he'll like rebuild, like he'll fix it and all that. And my son came over, stopped by, and I was watching that, and he sat down and he goes, "What are you watching?" I go, "Oh, watching this guy. He's restoring a painting." You were
literally watching paint dry is what you were doing.
I really was. And I was like, he was like, you're kidding me, right? I go, "No, it's interesting." And he's like, "All right, I gotta get out of here." So anyway.
Yeah, that'll be a great show, Gary. Let's just spend an hour talking about that.
Yeah, that would be great. Let me go into
everybody want to listen to that.
Yeah, let me go into many hours of talking to you about
some AI music in between each segment.
How you restore a painting.
Yeah,
and all the intricacies. All right, let's not do that. Let's tell you what. Let's get into our topic tonight, which is, and we did this topic back in. Do you realize we haven't talked about this since 2019? I couldn't believe
it wasn't that long ago.
It was. I'm pretty sure. Let me double check.
I think
it's amazing how time flies. I'll pull it back up. I had it right here. Creating the perfect geocaching town was show 170. How am I going to figure out a date on it though?
Well, what show number are we on now? We don't even do numbers anymore, do we?
We don't do numbers anymore. Well, I'll tell you what. The interesting thing about that was some of the things in the new that were in our notes for that one. We were doing the Geocache Talk Challenge. It was coming to an end with the Twonky, who won, and Owen from KC was second. Holo Yossi third. EJK PBR was fourth. Team D&D fifth. Anspire Crew sixth. And just goes.
Is that the leaderboard challenge?
Yeah, leaderboard challenge.
That was a long time ago. Then
it was. I'm showing that the upcoming shows, right? For right after that, we did a CGO show with Neil Moore. That was show 171, and that was October of 2019.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think it'd been that long.
Yeah, isn't it amazing?
Well, I don't feel as bad now about not remembering what all we covered during that show.
Right, exactly, and that's why I threw them in the notes again. But it was an interesting idea. I forget the original one. It's only been 5 years, but I'm trying to remember. Do you remember why we even got the idea to create a perfect?
I do actually, because like many things, when I come up with an idea, it's totally out of left field, and we just run with it from there. So this one actually was. We talked about picking a town like
that's right,
Mingo or whatever else, and actually doing the plan that we came up with. So this wasn't just a theoretical exercise. It was, we were trying to get with the community and develop, if we were truly going to build a Gilby, or pick a place like Mingo or something like that, where we could truly build this town. This was a realistic plan. Now, obviously, we never did this because it doesn't exist. But it's not to say that we couldn't do it one day as one. It's not our current project that we can't talk about. I can say that much. But this actually could be a project for in the future.
Yeah.
Pick a town somewhere in the U.S. because most of us live here and do all these things. Like once we decided on everything that would bring like a mecca to the town, like take the stuff from Gilby, take ancient caches that happen to be around. You pick a town based on that, and put all these things in one town. Could you make the Disneyland of geocaching? Like I've heard people call Gilby that, and it's got a lot of awesome things, right? But if you were going to pre-plan it out, what would you put in there?
Right.
And I think that's where this came to. This was going to be one of our yearly projects.
Yeah.
Still could be. And still could be one day, right?
Could be. And the cool thing about what we were talking about as well as isn't just it's the whole town would be on board. And that's what I think you'd really, it's hard to do. I mean, Gilby, there's a couple towns that people will mention. West Bend is an example. We mentioned Gilby. Jen says it could be we could call it Eggcott, Jesse. The experimental geocaching city of today.
just boom, right off the bat. I like it.
But it'll be much cooler than Peachy mentions Rome. The thing about Rome, and Lori's right. One thing you and I ran across this, which was I don't know if you remember this, but you and I and Christy were eating at a Chili's. We're just like, let's go get some food. We're tired. We're worn out. Ever.
Yes.
Yeah. When we were in Rome and we went there and we were talking to the guy. I think we were dressed up in our pirate garb, and the guy was asking us about it. The waiter, and we told him about it, and of course he'd heard of it, which means I obviously not everybody. Rome's a pretty good sized city, so I don't think that everybody in Rome knows about it. But I do think that a good portion of the Rome, Georgia citizens know about geocaching, and many of them are on board because they're part of the
right,
or have been part of it in the past. So, I mean, it's interesting to they've something about we both experienced it before, and that they'll block the streets in downtown, and they'll they'll go through the whole process of they change the marquees, and there's towns that'll do that, but still it's not quite there based on what we are talking about.
Well, and the key would be there's certain things in all these towns for people, right? But we're talking about what would be for everybody.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to Gilby and you're into gadget caches, that's your place to go, right? That's your Disney.
Yes.
If you're going to West Bend and you want to find a crap ton of caches, they recycle, every year or whatever.
Yeah.
That's an awesome place to go. There's a lot in a lot of these different places, but what our thing was, and I guess it was 2019, we did it before.
Yeah.
What would it take to make it, the true Disneyland of geocaching, what has everything for everybody. And it's interesting that we talked about this in 2019 and now we're revisiting this topic now because like we were talking about earlier today, full circle.
Yeah.
We plugged this into AI earlier to see what it would spit out.
Yeah.
And
we've got some ideas
around that a little bit, and I'm curious to see how many things we talked about are on the AI plan.
Yes.
Like how close were we 5 years ahead of time to guessing what would still be considered the top?
That's true, because we didn't have AI to reference back then. So let's go through the list. Before we do, I do want to pre-say that we don't want anybody to get the impression that we're not ragging on other locations because they don't have something. Because that's not.
I am. I'm totally going to crap on all the other cities.
No. All right, good for you.
No. We're not saying that Gilby's not awesome. We all know Gilby's awesome.
It is
we're
awesome.
Not saying that West Bend doesn't have an awesome event every. We're not saying any of that. Although I don't think we need to have a disclaimer for that. Everybody knows what we feel about all those places. We're doing a theoretical experiment that could happen one day. Like, what if we're putting everything into one town?
Yeah.
What would we want to see from it? So, I don't know. Everybody's going to say just put Warregos all over town. That'd be good enough. But we're going to go a little more creative than that, right?
Yeah, and we want it all. Like the song says, we don't want, because even if you talk to Chad Tricasius up in North Dakota, or you talk to any of our fine friends in North Dakota, we love them and they love us, but they'll tell you that they have some limitations because Gilby is a small town.
I think that's where we start too. We talk about the size of the town first.
Yeah, because you can't really. I mean, I don't think there's any hotels in Gilby. Might be a motel. There's campsites, I'm sure, that kind of thing. But yeah, the size of the town. What is your thoughts on?
I missed this one. Hold on, wait. Tree climb. This is the best one. All LBCs will be screech free, so they got to oil them all the time.
Absolutely,
I love it. So I would say the town needs to be medium sized. So I think it needs to be. So if it's like, let's choose a bigger city like Dallas.
Yeah,
that's too big.
Too big.
Too much going on. You got too much. You're going to have a higher crime rate in a big city like that. You're going to have more expensive places to stay.
Muggles.
It's going to be too crowded. Yep. But then I don't think the city can be too small because, so if there's no hotels, it makes it harder to come visit.
Yeah.
However, and first of all, we don't know where this city is. So people think we're like hitting around to a certain city that's a future project.
No.
We don't.
No.
This is still theoretical, right? It has to be a town or a small town right next to a bigger town that's not a huge town, right?
Sure.
So you can stay 10, 15 minutes away in a hotel and visit all the town, do everything else. And what I'm thinking of is something combined with hotels, combined with like not Mingo. Where do we have that event in Kansas? The names escape me right now. Right next to Mingo.
Oh, Colby.
Colby was small enough that like when you went into the restaurant, people knew each other's names. They knew people coming to town's names, but there were hotels close enough by. Now I'm not saying Colby is the place we're talking about. I'm just saying something kind of like that. Enough hotels, but also small enough where it's like that Mayberry, like how Rome is. A lot of people know it. So you want that perfect little mix. And I don't know where that would be, but a perfect little mix.
Rome's almost probably maybe too
super hard to get to either, right?
Yeah, that's tricky because you want it to be. Somebody mentioned having one in every time zone. There's I mean, K-Blast is right. I mean, Colby is too small.
Colby was a little too small though, yeah.
But there's something between sorry, go ahead. Click on the next one. Yeah, go ahead.
So just like Disneyland has different sections or regions so basically how Disneyland, which I'm not an expert on, there's a bunch of other experts in there, but it has different like have around the world, different countries and stuff like that. You definitely have sections set out that were different aspects of geocaching. That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be very cool to have our magical town. There would be split into areas. So like you could do a gadget trail and you could walk that trail, or if you really, if you wanted, you could do, we could have the LPCs, but they're not LPCs. They're magical LPCs where each one has a unique you pull up the lamppost skirt and a movie starts playing and you get to watch the movie. Or
now you can have an LPC and not even without magic. You can have an LPC that's not a boring pill bottle, right?
Right.
We've talked about this on the show before, so you're taking that aspect, and we're going totally out of order already. But
that's okay.
Like every LPC in town, lift it up, and it's like a little Lego figurines or something like that, right? It's a really cool scene. So I think the bare minimum we know is we're not talking about pill bottles thrown down on the ground.
Yeah.
That's not even allowed in town. There's an ordinance against it. So, but medium-sized town. Before we move on, medium-sized town.
Yeah, go ahead.
Small enough to be friendly, big enough to have hotels. Or a hotel at least.
Yes.
Then you have to have more than one hotel. One hotel would work. Two would be better if we can have competing prices, but
we get 2 or 3, and they're all geocaching themed. Would be kind of cool too.
Or just some really cool Airbnbs.
Yeah, those too. Yeah, absolutely.
Like like the silo one that was pretty good. We've seen some other ones. I've seen ones that are like old planes.
Yeah,
where you can like stay in a plane and stuff. That would be even. As a matter of fact, I take it back. I don't want the hotel anymore. Maybe one small hotel. I want a bunch of really cool Airbnb type things,
like chateaus. Yes.
Yeah, like really weird, like treehouse. You can stay in all these different crazy things.
Love that. You could do like a space themed, since we're doing the Cosmic Quest stuff right now. We could have like you could have a space theme.
That's still going, by the way. Are we still doing Cosmic theme, or
I think it ended? It was supposed to end today, but I think it got extended.
Did we make it or what?
I don't think so.
Does anybody know if we made it?
Let's keep it going.
Okay,
just go till we get it.
How about we don't? Anyway, okay. All right. Let's get started before we run out of time. All right, so I'll jump in and you can go back and talk about what we talked about before, and I'll bring up what the new projected or the forecast of this would be.
All right, sounds good.
Got into play with AI today, and it's funny that it's been like 5 years, because this is perfect. And we were kind of joking about AI in the beginning, but so if you plug it into AI and put a few parameters in there, talking about what we're doing today, it says that design the perfect attraction for geocachers in town involves combining the thrill of the hunt with unique and memorable experiences that cater specifically to geocaching enthusiasts. Here's some possible ideas to make a town a true geocaching tourist destination. And the notes it spit out were actually very good.
Yeah.
Now it literally could have pulled this from our previous podcast, but I don't think it did. So
we are the show of record. So
number one said geocaching trail. Now they define it a little differently than we do. So I'll two subsections under that were theme trails. We've talked about this on our show before, but create a series of geocaches based on local history, legends, or natural features.
I like
These could be divided into theme trails such as historical trail, nature, or urban adventure trail. Awesome. So we talked about this on the show before, like holiday themed caches on a trail.
Oh yeah.
Or if you have a town, like wherever this town is, people have mentioned several ones in here, but you mentioned like whatever the theme of the town is or the theme of the area, you have trails themed to that. Those are always high quality trails usually. They're usually high quality trails, right? It just adds a little something to, and I think that's right there is a good start.
And so memorable. I've told you, Jefferson, Texas, I did it was a Halloween themed, and they were very specific about please do not replace any geocache. Right. If you find one missing, let us know, because every one of them was either a bat or a mummy, or it was, but it's memorable. I talk about it to this day. But it's a cool idea that will be in our town.
So the next one was difficulty levels. It says offer cache with varying levels of difficulty from beginner friendly to expert only, ensuring something for everyone. So
love it.
I want to piggyback on something that, let's see. I think Jen mentioned it. She mentioned a few things, but a mountain peak in the center of the town with a true 5-5 at the top, and the trail to the top is a legit fizzy trail. So whether it was in a mountain area or not, having a true legit fizzy in town. Yeah. And I don't mean I'm not going to make fun of any Texas, excuse me, coughing there. I'm not going to make fun of any particular state, but not like a fake fizzy trail, right? Like I've seen all over the country.
You have those.
A true fizzy trail by the rules where you can actually get it in town. Now, I would love to expand that and say not just traditionals, but some of those others, right? Like have a section that's multis or whatever else, but a true fizzy trail for everybody, so everybody has whatever level they want, would be awesome.
Yep. I like it.
So the next part, kind of obvious, we kind of talked about before, but it said interactive caches incorporate puzzles, riddles, or challenges that geocachers must solve to find the next clue or cache. Well, we're always going to advocate for all those, right? Sure. A true mix of every cache type in town. That one's kind of obvious. We talked on that before, but you would want to have a little bit of every cache type in town. Now, the next thing I thought was interesting, they took a twist on it. Signature geocaches. So this section.
Oh, hang on, before we get there, real quick on the interactive caches.
Go ahead.
One of the things I wanted to point out or bring up was something I think that was very successful, and I think could be used. Obviously it'll be used in our new, perfect geocaching town. But I think everybody should possibly think about this, and which is what we did for Cache Fest in Norman. We had those interactive puzzle caches at the ice cream place, and that was something that shows you a great interaction and a melding with the local. That was just, to me, that really shows that you can work with your local businesses, and you can get something like that.
We're going to touch on that in just a minute.
Okay, go ahead. So
I know what you're thinking, though. So the next section was signature geocaches.
Yeah, go for that.
They broke this up into two categories, and we've already seen examples in other locations, and I already know which ones you're probably going to think of when you say this, but I like this. Right. So the first section was landmark geocache. Design a geocache hidden at or near significant local landmarks with unique, memorable container that represents a town. So thinking of our imaginary town, I'm thinking this is where your more plain, basic caches go at the local landmarks, like a themed tour, geotour type deal around town with like standard ammo cans painted up to go with whatever the local attraction is, like, the largest ball of something or this statue here or whatever around the town. That could be a series of its own. Those are like the more standard plain ones around, but they're made to a standard of like, this is the one that goes to this museum. It's painted like the museum, that kind of deal. I can see that as a standard, whether it's a geo tour or not, and we'll talk about that, but just a tour in town that matches, that's like a complete set of the town's iconic locations.
Yeah, that's melding the two of those together, I think would be incredible to do.
Yeah,
for sure.
And then, large scale geocache. Create a large, elaborate cache that is both a work of art and a challenging find. This could be something like a hidden compartment in a statue or camouflage container within a public art installation. Or what is another huge, large, very memorable geocache that you can think of?
Infernal Device.
If you're talking and have at least one Infernal Device type cache in town.
Yes.
One that like people would travel from all over. It's huge. It's abnormal. It's, it's like that one's a reverse escape room. You got to go into it. You go into it as groups, it may be even so popular you have to schedule times, but our town definitely has to have something like that in it, right? You got to have at least one of those for sure.
Absolutely.
I don't think we touched on that before.
No.
I'm looking through our notes.
I don't think so.
No, but you got to have one of those signature or marquee caches in town for sure, right?
Oh, yeah. And
something awesome like that.
And what a great, and you could really, with approval from HQ, but you could have something like a large Infernal Device where you've got multiple caches in the building. Mm-hmm. They're inside, so you have to get permission.
Yeah,
but I think that would really benefit the sport, and it benefits the town. It benefits it benefits everybody. If we could, you'd have to get special permission to do these kind of things, but
by far
there should be a way to request these special things. They're sort of like special they're sort of adventure lab. Well, they do have special adventure labs.
Yeah.
That you can purchase. What are they? I forget. There's a name for them, but like the one at the Smithsonian. Anyway, there's a version of adventure labs that are purchasable. That's a word.
Purchase. That's a word.
It's a word.
Yeah, I think if you built a town like this, it'd have to be like in conjunction with HQ.
Yeah.
Something this amazing like this, right? But all right, so I'm gonna move on because I want to get to all these elements before we
go ahead.
So the next section is one that at first reading I was like, and then I kept reading through and I was like, oh my gosh, that would be awesome. So within this town, there's going to be a geocaching park.
Okay,
hold on for it. So there's two parts to this. One, it says a dedicated geocaching area. So this park is just for geocaching.
Okay.
It's a designated park or natural area specifically for geocaching, populated with a variety of creative and well-maintained caches, including multi-caches and earth caches. So you need a natural area to do that. But the park is like Geocache Park. That's what you go there for. So everything is built in that park, trails and everything else around geocaching. Already sounds kind of cool, right? But here's the next part of that. So first of all, we would go to that anyway.
Right.
Geocaching Park, we're going there. But here's the cool part. It said add adventure elements. So not like lab adventures. It says incorporate features like zip lines, rope courses, or climbing elements where geocachers must physically challenge themselves to reach certain caches.
Love it.
I'm all over that. That sounds awesome. I mean, imagine you're going to a park knowing that not only is geocaching in that park, that whole park is about geocaching.
Right.
And they've got rope courses and all the zip line. Like, imagine Shelby Farms, the stuff they had.
Yeah.
But it was very open that you're zip lining to geocaches. It's not like a little pill bottle or bison nearby. Bison's pretty funny there, actually. But
that's funny.
It's true. Like, that's what they set up the whole course for. You know, boating, swimming, all this stuff. Could you imagine that? Just that park alone, I would drive a long way to go to.
Oh, yeah. Horseback riding.
In town.
Yeah. You have to go get to ride a horse to find a cache, zip line to a cache. Like you said, there's all these crazy ideas. I love it.
Well, here we go. Somebody says largest geo logbook in the world.
Yeah, Casey's
largest geocoin. There's a lot of things you can put on there.
Yeah, Casey was mentioned. Casey, Illinois. You know, it's got some unique features to it, but again, it's not necessarily geocaching. It isn't. It's not geocaching themed, but you get the idea. Oh yeah.
Yes, Tony would work too. Yeah, for sure. But imagine a city park that was like geocaching park. That'd be so awesome.
Yeah.
Not only is it not hidden, it's obvious what you're doing.
Yeah.
So, okay, a few more things. The next one was an obvious one, and we talked about this before. Geocaching events. Obviously, you'd have an annual mega, right?
Right.
And workshops, geocaching races, social events, all that kind of stuff. Everybody knows what a mega is. You'd have a mega there or giga there annually, right?
Oh yeah.
Hopefully not a giga because that's too big for our little bitty medium town that we don't know where it is yet. But some kind of annual event. But I think you would also have regular events as well, right?
Oh yeah.
They talk about community involvement. So involve, like you were talking about earlier, involve local businesses by setting up temporary geocaches inside stores, cafes, or historical buildings, encouraging visitors to explore the town. That's where your lab caches come in.
Yeah.
I think, you know,
great ideas.
Have stores throughout the town. So you'd want to be able to have everybody involved in it.
Yep. No, that's perfect. You know, being able to include things like that. And if you could, you know, and if you organized it well, you would rotate them around. So like you said, you come to town and, you know, for this particular season, you know, for the fall in Geocache Town, it's going to be, you know, the 10 stage, or your multiple stages are in different places in town. And when you say, "Oh, come back in the spring, we're going to do a whole new series," of Adventure Labs, and we're going to put them in other spots. So Cashville, yeah, I like it.
I love it.
Cashville.
Yeah, here we go. Have a store that sells geocache. Oh yeah, in a town like this, I think you definitely have geocaching related stores, clothing stores, jewelry, all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah.
There's so much you could have in that town. All right, so we're never going to make through all this, I know.
Keep going. You're doing great.
Educational experiences. So it said geocaching museum or exhibit. Well, we know the GPS maze, so we can have that there, right? You can get that
exactly.
History of the hobby, all that stuff. I mean, we all know what the GPS maze is, but you can incorporate it in this town, like a permanent structure there, right?
Right.
Now, maybe it gets a new GC every year.
Yes.
So when you go back every year, you get a new GC for it. So it's redone every year, right?
I love it. Yep.
But and then I think this is pretty interesting. Workshops and classes. So it only makes sense that if people are visiting this town, they can educate themselves on geocaching, right? But advanced and basic classes, kind of like workshops we do with Cache Fest or whatever else.
Sure.
But puzzle workshops, things like that. I think you can have that in the town as well.
Right.
Now, here's where it got interesting. We talked about this beforehand. Tech integration. So they talked about augmented reality caches. Now, I know that's kind of gone out of favor with geocaching, but we all believe that that's only because they're trying to build their own app for it.
Probably so.
They're going to bring it back in. The Metaverse died or whatever, and the other one, what was the other one? Anyway, it died too.
The HP one.
Yeah, whatever that one was. So
I
those died. I think they experimented with that.
I liked it. Yeah.
I think we're not far away from having that in the future. I don't know how far they are on developing that now, but I suspect there's somebody playing with the legitimacy of that to see if it's worth doing, right?
Right.
So anyway, I think having those in town, whether it's an official icon type or not, especially if it's not, would be a cool addition to the town. So that could be rolled into like an app for the town. So when you get in town, even if it's not an official type, as you go around this town, you've got AR stuff all over town, right?
Yeah.
And where everything is, maybe even you get additional badges for that town that you've gone through and found them. It could even be non-geocaching style hunts, where you're going and finding certificates, not certificates, online badging specifically for going to visit that town. That could be, for your profile or whatever, that you can only get there. That same app could also be for temporary leaderboards in town. So you're in town for the weekend and there's all these individual challenges and races you could do just with the people that are there. It only works while you're there. So there's tons of things they could do for that. But I think that's neat because it could be like kind of a tourism deal. It could tell you to go to places like, here's where you go for food. But also behind that is a special thing that's hidden today, right? Like temporary, I don't want to use the P word, but Pokemon style things that you go and capture digitally, right? You can incorporate all in the town because it's that. I don't know how that all works, but it could be all incorporated in that town. Geo tour. So I mentioned a Geo tour for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it's in there because I know you're going through the whole list here, but one thing that I wish we were able to do a little more integrated into geocaching would be charitable things. Judy mentions the M word, but that's one thing that they do is they're always raising money. You can get a Munzie for raising money for Alzheimer's or whatever it happens to be. I mean, and they put out all those, periodically they'll put a bunch of these out. And I just think that it would be a nice thing to also have integrated in is ways that you can support charitable endeavors.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you think if we've talked about this before, HQ sees it differently than we do.
Yeah.
But if they want to do a fundraiser every once in a while, they could do one-time fundraiser to sell a webcam, $150, $200 for a webcam.
Yeah.
And say we have 10,000 of these available for the whole world. They would sell those out within a day.
Oh, absolutely.
They raise $2 million in a day, easy. and that could go straight to St. Jude, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this is funny because we are going to talk about this. A porch cache in every subdivision. I think you'd have tons of, private residences caches there. So going to the next part. So unique cache containers. Now this was pretty obvious, and we talked about this last time. Yeah. But creative containers, and they mentioned very many of them on this list are look like local landmarks, built like wildlife, things like that. Right. Fake rocks, hollowed out logs, the standard stuff that you have, but it's kind of standard in that town, fake bolt, stuff like that. Those are pretty common things, but I think the point of that is you wouldn't want any regular caches. Like if it's a boring old, no pill bottles, right? You'd want to be more creative with the town. You don't want boring finds if you're setting up a whole town like that.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. You wouldn't want that.
I think so. Yeah.
K-Bus mentioned about the saturation rule. I think that would be great if there was a way.
So I don't think you'd have to.
You wouldn't have to.
If you're doing this organized like a town, I think you could spread it out enough where you wouldn't have to.
But if you needed to put 2 caches close by for whatever reason based on your town, I think that they should allow for.
I agree. Now, if you had a strip mall and everyone wanted to have a gadget cache outside it, there you go. Just remove that a little bit, right? Give them a little fudge room for that. Yeah, I agree with that.
Let them all have one out front.
So this is something that we've kind of seen. I hate to say this because people think we're joking about it, but I've seen it more with lab caches than I have with anything else. Yeah, you used to see them with virtuals too, but not always. Incorporate local culture. So that's a lab cache right there. But place caches in locations that highlight local culture, art, or cuisine. For example, a cache near a famous bakery might include a clue that leads to a free sample. Boom.
Hey, that'd be cool.
That's what I'm talking about right there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
All this lab, you come in and get you a little pastry. Yeah, I'm there.
Absolutely, man.
And then it says story-driven geocaching. To me, this reeks of Where I Goes. Develop a narrative that guides geocachers through a series of caches, telling a story about the town's history, a local legend, or a fictional adventure that unfolds each find. Well, that's Where I Goes right there, buddy. I mean, that's the way to do it. That's like taking a tour of the town, like an official tour of the town through Where I Goes. You could absolutely do that.
No, that's perfect.
And set up and maintained by the town. Those are going to be nice quality ones too, right?
Yeah.
Not reverse Where I Goes. Don't even, before it even starts, just no, stop.
No,
it's the next one is something that I thought was really interesting.
Okay.
Because we talk about this a bit, and I don't see a lot of. Yes, that is also Adventure Labs when they're well done, K-Blast. But I don't see a bunch of this. And we talked about this, and I know we have a show maybe in the future on this, but nighttime geocaching.
Oh, yeah.
This is where we could really see something awesome in town. Because you have the daytime geocaches, but then you have a whole different set where you can go out and really nighttime geocache all around town.
Oh,
they can be based on, imagine it's a town, right? So they can be based on when the streetlights come on, all these nighttime geocaches activate.
Oh, they change.
Just be so cool.
Get out you have to get out your UV lights to find
all around town.
And
maybe they don't even turn on. It's light up geocaching, so it's not glow tax, but actual lights that come on with the street lights.
Yeah,
that could be awesome. But and they said glow in the dark caches. That's an interesting thing too. I hadn't even really thought about that. The actual container glows in the dark.
Yeah, that is cool.
Maybe some of the lampposts in town are glow in the dark, and that's the only way you can find it.
Right.
They all look normal during the daytime, but at night they light up.
At night they light up. They glow in the dark.
Fun.
That's sweet.
So also, I think you could have in town they have UV lights available for rent or sell. Yeah, and flashlights and everything else, like a kit for town. You go out, by the tourist center, and they've got here's your nighttime kit. Go out and find all these that you can just check out.
Yeah, all the different rooms in our chateau that are like an Airbnb. They have them. They have the kits there for you.
Let's see. Okay, so the next one was collaborative and social elements. So multi-cacher challenges. So it said create geocaches that require teamwork, where geocachers must work together to solve puzzles or access hidden compartments.
Love
now,
it.
we've talked about this a good bit on the show.
Yeah.
Really hard to make caches where one person can't do it.
Yes, it is.
Because geocachers are so smart and so creative when they do stuff. And they will spend 10 times the amount of time trying to prove that they can do it with one person as with two people who do it in 5 minutes, right? But they will just do it. Like I did that with one person. But if you could really come up with some stuff that took a team, like there was radios you checked out across town or something.
Sure.
And you had to like team up to, whatever you had to do, like being in two different locations at one time, or, that would be fun. Imagine you go to a town and they're like, okay, in this town, there's 5 geocaches that takes 5 people at a time to do.
I love it.
And we'll even help you hook up with people that want to do it. Like you sign up for it, that would be
Tom, 2 people hold my beer. Well, I mean, it can be done with the right tools. I mean, the one that Bounce has up in the Seattle area, it takes 3 people or 4 people. Everybody has to push the button at the same time, and you can't do it yourself. They're too far apart. And so we had a group, and so we just all push the button and the thing opens. But obviously,
that would be so much fun if there was caches like that, a whole set of caches like that around.
It would be really fun. It would take a lot of work, but again, in our wonderful town, I think it would be fun if you could get something like that where it takes 12 people. We've done these back in the day, but the mob caches were
the devices,
yeah.
Those kind of lost favor and went away, but they were fun, I thought.
Yeah, we had fun doing the one. I mean, pretty rare, man. I mean, at least down here, they're probably not as rare in some places, but I love that idea.
The other one they mentioned with that one was a geocacher hub, and now this was a different thing that I hadn't really thought of.
Okay,
but it said establish a community center or cafe where geocachers can meet, swap stories, and sign a communal logbook. This could also serve as a place for local geocachers to share their own hide spots and tips. So it's really more of a cheers bar for geocaching, like somebody mentioned earlier, right? Like, it doesn't count as necessarily an event or anything else. It's just where geocachers go to hang out, and it's open all the time.
I love it.
That's kind of a cool idea, right?
Yeah. They have like geocaching trivia every night. Maybe not every night, but you could have like, it could be each night would have like a theme.
Yeah.
You have puzzle night, or you could have trivia night, or you could do something like that. It'd be cool.
Yeah. The next one is interesting because it makes me think of other industries. And I think that I see this as a trend going forward. And we do it some in geocaching already, but it's sustainable geocaching. So what this made me think about is I'm down in Florida now. So like everybody but me is on a cruise today. So I got left at home, but the cruise industry is now getting a lot of pressure to be green, so to speak. Right. So they come into a port, they offload a lot of stuff, upload a lot of stuff, and while they're sitting there, it's like your car running, right? They say shut off your car and stuff. Well, the boat can't really shut off. It has to be powering things and everything else.
Right.
So they're working to plug into electricity instead of just running the engine, right?
Right.
And they're working on ways to not create waste, but actually clean as they go.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Which is kind of interesting, right? So take that from that industry and talk about geocaching. Now we have CETOs, and I think in this town, you're going to have a CETO like every weekend, without a doubt. Right? 52 CETOs a year. You're going to have one to clean up some. I mean, like this would be the cleanest town.
It would be the cleanest town.
But I think, it was also talking about designing caches that promote environmental awareness, perhaps things related to conservation, local wildlife, or natural landmarks. So what that makes me think is not just like a pick up trash off the highway CETO, but like each one is like a park improvement CETO every weekend. Right. So we're building a new trail, or we're building a park bench, or we're building these things. But I think you could have it to where it's a very regular, at least once a month, you'd have in this town a CETO that's working on city beautification.
Yep.
Like planting flowers in the town square, or, cleaning up something, restoring old buildings, that kind of stuff. I think you could do that year round in a place like this.
Oh, absolutely. And you could,
and, no bomb scares, just good stuff.
just, yeah. There was one earlier I wanted to mention is that Steve was glad to see Steve back in here. But he mentioned about a teamwork. He had a teamwork idea, but I like this idea of, we mentioned those earlier as far as it's just cool to have the, some of the interaction. And then there's people too that, and this is kind of for another show as well. That's for another show. Take a drink. But that was just, the people cache differently, but some people I think wish that there was more possibilities for them to cache with others. They just don't know anybody.
Yeah.
And so this town would really help with that, because you could do some social work.
Yes.
So you're like, people before they get to town, like, hey, I'd like to cache with more people. I don't normally cache with people, but I want to cache with more people.
Mm-hmm.
And somebody could coordinate all that. But go ahead. You got, K-Blast. Yeah.
So I'm trying to figure a way to kick K-Blast out of the show, but I just don't know. So
right.
He said geocaching karaoke with AI songs. I wouldn't have even put that up if it wasn't for the follow-up and travel bug songs.
And travel bug songs.
Absolutely.
Jim mentioned that earlier. She wants me to please write an anthem for a geocaching city called Cashville.
Power ballad. Oh yes. We can do that.
I might be able to do that. Give me a minute. And I'll get it done. Oh, we're out of time. Sorry. Too late.
All right. So
keep going.
The last one, because I want to hit what we talked about before and see how close they were. The last one I mentioned was involve local businesses. So we kind of already know this, and you already mentioned that, right?
Right.
But the geocaching passport program, like we kind of talked about, have the local businesses, maybe discounts for people geocaching, that kind of stuff.
Right.
But having prizes and discounts in towns, like I think of Rome, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I've mentioned this like 50 times, but to me, it was the coolest thing ever. We went into that bakery and they had geocaching cookies.
Yeah.
And I just thought I'm still blown away by that. I think that's so awesome.
Me too.
It makes you feel like loved in town, right? But
yeah,
if you have this kind of stuff, these stores, geocaching clothing in some stores, not like a whole geocaching store, right? But like regular clothing stores have a little bit of geocaching stuff in it because it's such a hobby for the store. Or, I went to Cashville and all I got was a stupid shirt or something, and 5,000 smileys.
Exactly.
But I think that would be the coolest part of the town, is that it's incorporated into the whole town, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Obviously, Treasure will be playing on the matinee movie screen, have all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, got to have Treasure playing.
Maybe some new geocaching movies. Hint, hint to anybody out there. Please make some more.
Please make more.
And then it mentioned geocaches in a store. So hide geocaches inside local shops or eateries, making them part of the experience and encouraging visitors to engage with the town.
Yeah.
Unless you got special permission, it'd have to be lab caches, right?
Yeah. So special.
They have to be available 24/7. But anyway, that would be kind of a good idea if you could do that. So the funny thing that it didn't mention that we talked about in our last show was, and we'll have to hit them quick, but a power trail leading to the town. Well, duh. You got to get your 300 or 400 caches before you get to town, right?
Yeah, before you get to
the power trail.
Yeah.
You got to have your geo art outside of town with like the name of Cashville written over it or whatever. If we're going with that.
For now.
And then, so we said gadget cache in the center of town. That seems obvious that you'd have a town square with gadget caches all around it.
Yeah.
Like you're talking Gilby style gadget caches, right? Like huge things that kids can play on, everything else.
Bamarama, Jackson County, Georgia. Keep going.
We mentioned a geo tour last time. Obviously, you'd have a geo tour somewhere in there.
You could incorporate.
I mean, any of these things can be geo tours, right?
Right, but you could incorporate some of the geo tour type items. So, like, if you come to town and you do the paint the town red, you can then go by the geocaching store, you turn something in, they give you a coin, they give you path tags, you get all the swag that you ever want, that kind of thing.
So we mentioned last time too, a permanent monitored safe travel bug hotel. Um,
Yes.
And we mentioned maybe at the visitor center. I love that idea. Like you officially go to town, and that's the biggest, like vault size travel bug hotel is at the visitor center. That's a perfect place for it, and it's there permanently. It's monitored and everything else. It'd be great.
You could have like a travel bug center.
Yes, hospital.
That is
you can be at the hospital.
Yeah. We still think the hospital is such a great idea to repair. You know, you've got like we found the travel bug had nothing on it. It was just by itself.
Yeah.
We just found, and we're like, what do we do with this now? I mean, is it even active? And we looked it up, and it's active. So, you know, it needed something. So we could bring that along to the travel bug hospital, and somebody could attach something to it and send it on its way. So
we also mentioned last time free Wi-Fi throughout town. Well, you'd have to because you have your 5,000 lab caches in town.
Exactly.
You have to have, free Wi-Fi for that.
Free Wi-Fi.
I went to a location the other day, and there were several lab caches there, but the service was spotty. So it took me like 10 times long to do it. So we don't want high speed.
Dang. Yeah.
And then, so it said access to extreme caches like hikes, kayaking, tree climbs. I think you would have, we mentioned that earlier, that'd be in that park.
Oh, yeah.
You'd be able to rent all that stuff in the park. And then a geocaching thing, coffee shop, like the one is at Denmark we interviewed?
Belgium.
Okay, yeah. We got to have that one there. So we're bringing that from Belgium over. We're going to get those same people to open it.
Called GOT. Yeah.
GOT, yeah.
GOT. Go visit. Tell them that we sent you because it's a good place.
And then one of the last things we mentioned is based on Cache, Oklahoma. You know, I've been there before. Have you been there?
Yeah. I was able to get through there when I was doing all the Oklahoma counties. So all
these, it's Cashville, maybe. I don't know what the name of the town is, but
the
Cashville Police, Cashville Post Office, every city vehicle. We talked about this in, I guess, 2019, but every city vehicle would be trackable.
Right.
So every time you're driving around town, every city vehicle that you see, bus,
I love it,
fire truck, everything else is trackable. So you'll be logging trackables constantly.
Absolutely.
So it's funny that a lot of the things we mentioned last time still came up in our AI version in 20, and we still haven't built the town yet, but
no.
I'd be interesting to see what else would people want, right? So you have, I think we've covered as much as I can imagine that there's like everything there.
We covered a lot. I think that there's ways too that are like, we didn't really get into like all the various things that you and I would say are sort of important for.
Like, what else would you mention?
For a town, like you want a town to have certain things, like you want good schools, you want, you you still want libraries, and you can sort of incorporate into that.
You don't need all that stuff, just geocaches.
You want kids to learn the great sport of geocaching. You want them to, you want really cool themed restaurants. There's so
that
much
would be fun too, right?
There's so much you can do with geocaching themed restaurants. I mean, there's sky's the limit.
Like a true Disneyland, like what's that downtown Disney thing called? I should know this.
Downtown Disney.
Downtown Disney. There it is. But the whole town geocaching themed. Would that be enough of a? Would that bring enough people in town?
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe. But sort of, you can. But there's so many things that you can. There's so many ways that you can sort of incorporate. I mean, they have those. I was looking at my new painting over here, but it's like they have the paint parties where people get together and do that kind of thing. Well, you could make it geocaching themed to kind of go along with your town.
Oh yeah.
You better ask. You better talk to Brad. Better talk to the dude next to you because make sure you guys are on the same. I'm sure they are.
It's all a bunch of tiny homes. People don't need to stay at their house; they just sleep there, right, and go caching.
Yeah,
you could have like a bus going around town, right? That just takes you to caching.
Yeah, I think we mentioned that. That was in our earlier. That was in our 2019. Remember?
Or like Rome does, like they have the little shuttles around town.
Yeah,
that would be great.
Yeah, they have the shuttles during the pub crawl. They'll people. They're chariots. They have since it's Rome, they get the chariot theme.
Chariots. Now, obviously, we'd have to have some breweries in town that had geocaching themed beers, right? I mean, obviously.
Oh, absolutely.
That goes without saying, though.
Yeah. Wings. You get different. Everything's themed. Yeah, I love it.
I'm thinking the traffic cameras would actually be webcams. So you don't get a ticket. It just sends you your picture later. You can log it online.
There you go. Log it. Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Webcams. We need to have a discussion with somebody at HQ and find out what the story with those are.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I mean, just.
Can you imagine how tired they are of hearing about that?
Probably.
Like, do you think there's one dude up there that just gets the webcam calls?
I don't know.
Like, oh, it's webcam. We'll send you to Mark. He'll listen to it.
I asked Rock Chalk about it. He's in charge of. He's a good dude. He's a marketing guy, and I was like, because I tried to convince him for us to be allowed to do even a temporary. Mm-hmm. I just want one for a week. Just let me have a webcam for a week, and no go. So,
well, they don't want to open that can of worms, I'm sure.
Well, but again, it'd be only. I guess if they let us do it for a week, they could let everybody else do it for a week too. Yeah. I guess so.
I mean, I could see. Well, we don't want to get off on the topic, right? But at least attach it to a mega or a geo tour. Just do that.
Well, that's what I was saying too.
Keeps it alive, right? But anyway.
Well, that's the other thing too, is you only allow it for say megas and gigas and stuff like that, because that way there's only a limited number of those. You can't like the general public couldn't ask for. That's what I was asking for Cache Fest. It was like very limited. It's only for it's only for a mega, so it's not open to the public. So he doesn't get inundated by all these people. But it's like, no, I truly think they want to kill it, and I don't think that they want to. I think there's going to come a point where they're just going to kill it.
I think they're just letting it go away.
They are, but remember though, locationalists got to a point, a much lower point before they said.
Who was happy with that decision? There was still controversy forever, right?
Yeah.
If they've got it grandfathered in, they finally just go away. Like there's like 70 something in the U.S. now.
Oh,
if they just let them dwindle off, then they didn't kill them. So the public can't be mad at them for it.
Well, slow death.
But most people came into the game when they could even. Most people that are there now came in after webcams anyway.
Yeah.
So they've never been able to put them out. So most people can't even complain about it.
No, and most people don't. You and I both heard a lot of people who hate webcams, and it's like, well, yeah, but I know.
I think they're stupid, but
I know.
No, I still go get them, but it's rarity. That's the only reason I get them. But if they were the exact same as other, I would never go get one because they seem stupid. But it is what it is, right?
I know. I think
we still have a webcam. We still have multiple webcams in Cashville.
Yes, absolutely. We have lots.
At least two. At least one coming into town and one leaving town.
Right. We got to have them. We got to have a ton of them. Why not? It's our wonderful town. We can have.
So I'd be interested to see if we've had 5 years to think about this, right? We did it.
We have
2024.
We'll do it again. Yeah, we'll do it in 5 years.
Every 5 years we'll touch on it.
I'll put on the schedule.
Yeah,
I'll add it right now to the schedule for 5 years. Go ahead.
I would be curious to know what else people would add in town.
Sure.
Because I mean, I think we've covered all the basic stuff that you would possibly want to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
I don't know what else you put in town, but I'm sure there's a lot more creative ideas. But I'd be curious. Send them in if you know. We'll read the good ones out on other shows or whatever. But
yeah,
I would love to see it.
Oh, I agree. I think you've got some great ideas, and I think those are. It's interesting as we wrap up tonight. It's interesting to see that AI came up with some clever things, but also covered some areas that we had discussed, which is kind of eerie. But yeah, no, I think it's good. I'm hoping and there's towns that have some of those things.
Right. No town has everything because it'd be ridiculous, right?
I think the thing is, we as a takeaway, an action point is wherever you live, take one of these ideas and try to run with it and see if you can get your town on board with whatever, with X.
Yeah. How many things can you get in your town?
How many of these suggestions you have in town? And so there'll be good questions.
Question yet?
I can't because of the my brother's celebration of life got put down.
Yours got moved to there, yeah.
And so
I'm almost 100% that I will not be there either because I will be on the other side of the country. I will be in Vegas.
You'll be in Vegas
for an annual thing I go to.
Yeah.
Had to be the same week, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's why I was in Georgia this past week to finish up my Jasmer because I wanted to get that done. And so October 5th I'll be out of pocket for that for my brother's celebration of life. And my sister-in-law's, she lost her husband and her sister. So
oh my gosh,
never good. Yeah. So we're going to do terrible. So Caleb was flying in from Macon, and we got other family coming in town to celebrate both of them. So yeah, no, maybe, maybe Bamarama next year is a possibility. And some there's a bunch next year that really look like they're going to be great megas next year. But yeah,
there's a bunch of good things. But this is, I can tell you, for me, my travel will be limited this year. My youngest daughter's getting ready to graduate, so we've got some trips to do with her. But
that dictates a big trip with her.
After that, it's wide open time, and I'll get to start traveling a bunch more.
Yes,
but I'm ready to start launching and getting on these ships and seeing how many countries I can get. There's a bunch of countries you can get to from a cruise ship in Florida. So I'm all over. Yes, I'm going to Mr. Olympia. Hawaii's coming up. There's so many awesome things to go to. It's just more than I can possibly get to in a year.
Yeah. So a couple quick things. One is, do you want to spill the beans on when? Do you want to spill the beans on? Hang on. Let me ask. Do you want to spill the beans on when we're going to spill the beans? You
no,
wait
I don't.
That. Okay.
I want to wait. All
right, we'll wait on that.
We have other big stuff coming between now and then. Just let them wait. Don't spill any beans yet.
I won't.
Because that date is not 100%. It's about 95%.
It is. You're right, and it's a ways off. So that's probably a good thing. I do want to mention that we have redone the Geocache Talk website. Please go check it out. The store is back. There isn't really anything in the store yet other than Cache Masters, my card game. But I will spill the beans that there will be more things in the store as time goes on. We have plans to add items to the store, and we've got a really big one that I can't talk about, but there'll be a big one coming to the store sometime in the future. Is that bad? Is that
no? It's because I don't want to start getting into it now because we have months and months before anything comes to realization.
That one's closer to realization though than it's
Store,
getting there.
But not the other thing.
No.
That's barely this year.
Yeah, but the good thing is that we are going to be adding things. The stores there, if you want to check it out, and go check out the website. We've redone it. Yeah, Steve, spill it. No, I can't. I'm legally obligated not.
There will be other cool things coming up on one of our podcasts, but we can't say which one.
Oh yeah,
you can't talk about those beans either. They're not our beans to spill. That's
beans that I do not have in a pot in front of me.
That's not even your beans.
Not even my beans. I can't do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to spill somebody else's.
No, that would be
jelly beans, baked beans, coffee beans.
Jelly beans.
I do
like
all right.
jelly.
Well, thanks everyone for tonight. It was fun. And yeah, it was. Jesse let me give him a hard time by putting this song at the beginning. So maybe I'll do a Cashville song. You never know. Maybe that'll come up. Maybe that'll come out one day.
The true album will be released at some point.
Yeah. Everybody in the United States, I think, is the only place we do Labor Day. Have a safe and happy Labor Day for those in all of our friends that listen all over the world. We have folks in more than 28 countries that listen. Have a good week. And we've got some, working on some really good shows. I think this was a good show, but we've got more shows coming that, we always looking to do something unique and once in a while, I think it's good to revisit a topic. So
things change especially when we're talking about 5 years.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all have a good week, and we will see you later. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
May your finds be many, and your DNFs be few. May the terrain and difficulty both be less than 2. And whatever it is you're looking for, may it find its way to you. And may we all meet again.
Folks, we hope you've enjoyed the show tonight. Please email us your comment at geocachetalk@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. The show can be found on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Radio Public, or Spotify, as well as at the Geocache Talk website. Don't forget to click that subscribe button below and ring that bell notification so that you can see and hear the show on a weekly basis. And tell your friends about the show. Get them involved with us in the chat room. And until next week, don't just talk about geocaching, go geocaching.